Hey everyone, today we're diving into the fascinating history of ancient Korean and Chinese relations. Imagine a story that begins way back in mythology and prehistory, with trade, migration, and cultural exchange shaping the destinies of two great civilizations. So, let's go back to the very beginning. Korea and China have been connected for centuries, even before recorded history. They traded goods and raw materials as far back as the Bronze and Iron Ages. But it wasn't just goods that traveled between these lands, people did too. In the 4th century BCE, during the Warring States period in China, many fled to Korea, bringing with them their culture, knowledge, and way of life. Chinese culture deeply influenced Korea, spreading everything from writing and religion to ceramics and architecture. Koreans didn't just absorb these elements, they often put their own unique twist on them, sometimes even surpassing their teachers. Historian M.J. Seth beautifully sums up this complex relationship. He explains how China provided Korea with models for literature, art, music, and more. Koreans adopted many Chinese ideas about government and politics, viewing China as the center of the universe and its emperor as a divine mediator. Despite this strong influence, Koreans maintained their own identity and independence, proud of their cultural adherence but always ready to resist Chinese interference in their domestic affairs. Now, to truly understand the intricate ties between Korea and China, we need to look at each historical period of ancient Korea. These relations were a mix of politics, commerce, and culture, constantly evolving over more than 1,000 years. Starting with Gojoseon, Korea's first state, we find that archaeology has uncovered evidence of material culture arriving from Manchuria, Siberia, and China during the Neolithic period. Korean mythology tells of the sage Daija, who, along with 5,000 followers, left China and settled in Gojoseon. Daija became king in 1122 BCE, marking an early Chinese influence. The rulers of Gojoseon even adopted the Chinese title Wang, or king, showing their connection with neighboring Yan China. Trade was evident through the discovery of Chinese crescent knife coins in Korea and the use of pit burial tombs in the Daedong River area. These tombs often contained horse trappings and luxury goods, highlighting the wealth brought in by Chinese trade. Some tombs even had over 100 slaves buried with their owners, showing the social and economic structures influenced by Chinese customs. During the 4th century BCE conflicts in China, refugees brought Chinese culture directly to Korea. Later, the Han Dynasty established military colonies or commanderies in Manchuria and northern Korea. These colonies thrived on trade, integrating Korea into the broader Han-dominated East Asia. The most notable of these was Lelang, which lasted from 108 BCE to 313 CE, significantly boosting material and cultural exchanges. And now, we move into the Three Kingdoms period, a time full of dynamic change and interaction from the 1st century BCE to the 7th century CE. During this period, three main kingdoms, Baekje, Goryeo, and Silla, and the Goryeo Confederation vied for power and territory. Despite their constant conflicts and shifting alliances, these kingdoms maintained strong trade and cultural ties with China, taking advantage of China's political fragmentation between the fall of the Han Dynasty in the early 3rd century and the rise of the Silla Dynasty in 581 CE. Starting with Baekje and Goryeo, we see that their early relations with China were marked by significant cultural exchange. Archaeological finds show Chinese coins at Balhae and the use of Chinese-style sloping kilns by Goryeo potters. Trade flourished, with iron, gold, and horses flowing to China, while silk, tea, and writing materials came to Korea. Culturally, the Koreans adopted the Chinese writing system and the royal title Wang. They also embraced Chinese literature, burial practices, and art. Religiously, the Korean states transitioned from shamanism to Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, the latter becoming the state religion in Baekje by 384 CE, introduced by the monk Marananta. Confucianism significantly shaped Korean society and politics, while Buddhism influenced art, architecture, literature, and ceramics. Moving north to Goryeo, we find a kingdom that was also a frequent trading partner of China. They exported gold, silver, pearls, and textiles, receiving weapons, silk, and writing materials in return. Goryeo adopted the Chinese writing system, coinage, poetry styles, and architectural elements, especially in tomb construction, which featured Chinese motifs like constellations and directional animals. In 372 CE, Goryeo established a national Confucian academy and adopted Buddhism, introduced by the monk Sundo. Goryeo faced several military challenges from the Silla Dynasty. In 598 CE, a Chinese navy and army attacked but were defeated by harsh weather. Another major attack in 612 CE, known as the Battle of Salsu River, was famously repelled by General Yulji Mundiak, leading to a devastating loss for the Sui. These defeats contributed to the fall of the Silla Dynasty, but their successors, the Tang Dynasty, were equally ambitious. Silla, the Third Kingdom, maintained diplomatic relations with China, paying regular tribute and adopting Chinese customs. By the 6th century, Silla rulers had taken on the Chinese title of Wang and adopted the Chinese writing system, Confucianism, and Buddhism. Buddhism became the official state religion in 535 CE, but traditional shamanistic practices continued. Taoism also became more popular during the Tang period. Silla's relations with the Tang Dynasty were particularly close during the reigns of Queen Sendiak and King Taizong Muyol in the mid-7th century. Silla followed Tang court customs, sent students to study in China, and received significant military aid from Emperor Gaozong. Although the Tang emperor initially aimed to defeat Silla after aiding them, the Koreans had other plans. While the Tang were distracted by Tibet, Silla defeated the remaining Chinese forces in Korea at the battles of Misosong and Kibulpo, becoming the sole ruler of Korea. And now, let's dive into the era of the unified Silla Kingdom and Balhae. After the Silla Kingdom refused to become just another Chinese province, their relationship with China actually strengthened. Silla became a loyal ally and continued to be heavily influenced by Chinese culture. Confucianism and Buddhism were integral to the Silla education system, with Buddhism being the official state religion practiced by all levels of society. The most renowned Buddhist scholar monk of this period, Waniho, significantly popularized the faith in the 7th century. Confucianism also grew stronger, with a National Confucian Academy established in 682 CE and a civil service examination introduced in 788 CE. Trade between Silla and China was flourishing. China exported luxury goods like silk, books, tea, and art, while Korea sent metals, especially gold and silver, ginseng, hemp goods, manufactured products, horses, and scholars. Silla even controlled trading areas within Chinese territory due to the high volume of trade. Contemporaneous with unified Silla was the state of Balhae, which occupied northern Korea and parts of Manchuria. Balhae engaged in trade but also made the mistake of attacking both Silla and Tang China in the 8th century. This led Silla and Tang to form an alliance to counter Balhae, but their expedition failed disastrously in the northern mountains, costing Silla half its army. Despite this, Balhae thrived through trade with Japan until the early 10th century, when it was conquered by the Mongolian Khitan tribes. The fall of Balhae and the decline of Silla set the stage for the rise of the Goryeo Dynasty. The Goryeo Dynasty, established after the later Three Kingdoms period, unified the Korean peninsula once again. Respect for Chinese culture was a hallmark of the Korean elite, as Goryeo's founder Taeho declared their admiration for Tang culture. Goryeo formed strong ties with the Song Dynasty. The Song Dynasty sought Goryeo's help against the Khitan and Jin, but Goryeo was reluctant to get involved in broader regional conflicts. Tribute was paid to China, but trade flourished in both directions, with China exporting silk, books, spices, tea, medicine, and ceramics, while Goryeo sent gold, silver, copper, ginseng, porcelain, pine nuts, and hanji paper. The capital, Songdo, boasted over 1,000 shops in the 13th century. Cultural ties with China remained strong, with Chinese literature being highly popular. Goryeo's state administration was modeled on the Chinese system, introducing a civil service examination in 958 CE, and adhering to Confucian principles. Buddhism continued to be the state religion, leading to the construction of many temples and monasteries. During this period, Korea began minting its own coinage, modeled after Tang Dynasty coins, even translating the Chinese inscriptions. A new threat emerged in the early 13th century when the Mongol tribes, united by Genghis Khan, conquered Beijing in 1215 CE. In 1231 CE, the Mongols, led by Ogedei Khan, turned their attention to Korea, forcing Goryeo to move its capital. Over the next 3 decades, Korea endured 6 more Mongol invasions, finally making peace in 1258 CE. However, this peace came at a cost. Goryeo had to provide ships and materials for the Mongol invasions of Japan in 1274 and 1281 CE. Consequently, Korea fell under significant Mongol influence, with princes living as hostages in Beijing and several kings marrying Mongolian princesses. It would take another century for Korea to re-establish its independence, leading to the formation of the Joseon Dynasty in 1392 CE.